Look who it is. Ravishing Rohit Raju, the Desi Hitman, the Mocha Skin Manimal, the future two-time X Division champion. And you are here with my homies at 8-Bit Suplex Podcast. Some one of the best around. You better be listening, Nimrods.
All right, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in for a really cool special edition bonus episode of 8-Bit Suplex. This is the first of the kind that we are getting to do here. I'm of course joined always by my co-host Sandy Cafaria. Sandy, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, Josh. How are you?
I'm doing great. About to be doing really great because we're sitting down now over this Zoom call with the one and only Rohit Raju. Rohit, how are you tonight?
I'm fantastic. How are you guys tonight?
Man,
I am doing amazing. Thanks to you now. Thank you.
Yeah, Rohit, I'm sure you haven't listened too much to the podcast. I know it's probably one of your favorites. But, you know, if you have tuned in, this podcast, we are huge fans of Rohit Raju. Everything that you do, we're very dismayed that you are not currently the X Division champion, but we know that you're going to get back there, so we're not worried about that at all.
Okay, cool. Good. We're on the same page. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, Josh, you know what we should have done for the introduction? Before you said his name, we should have done my regular line. So in the podcast, every episode, I've said it. I was like, I'm so thankful. I think during Thanksgiving, I was like, the thing that I'm most thankful for this 2020 is starting this podcast, watching Impact, and discovering my new favorite wrestler. So not to kiss your ass or anything, but I honestly mean it. And every time I talk about you, I'm like, that's my man, Rohit Raju. And then this whole thing happened. Yeah.
You can't tell, but I'm blushing there a little bit. I appreciate it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. But yeah, no, thank you again for being here, Rohit. We try to keep it kind of loose on here. A lot of times we kind of fly off the seat of our pants a little bit.
Yes.
And so, we do have, I'm sure we might pick your brain a little bit here about kind of how you got started in the business, aspirationally where you're looking to go for, and kind of some, things in between. But really, we want to hear from you and kind of, what's going on, plans for the future, obviously X Division champion again, but maybe, something else down the line, Impact World Championship,
right.
Or hey, we heard that the AEW championship hanging around there. So maybe you want to step in there with Kenny Omega. But anything and everything, we just want to hear from you.
Cool. And let's do it. I like to, we can start off structured and just see where it takes us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I just, if you want to, Rohit, kind of real quickly, like what kind of got you into professional wrestling? What kind of inspired you to be in this industry, and where do you kind of pull your inspiration from?
Well, as a kid, when my dad was flicking through channels, I came across professional wrestling. And of course, I'm seeing these larger than life characters jacked out of their mind, just super loud, and each character is something different. So I instantly gravitated towards that, and I never stopped. I had all the action figures, and when I was a kid, I used to have this big gray teddy bear that I would wrestle, and my mom's recorder, when she would go to school, she would record stuff. I would use that, and I would record myself cutting like the promos, doing the commentary as I would wrestle this big bear. And I never stopped as I got older. I just loved professional wrestling. I used to take G.I. Joe guys and unscrew them in the back, and then I'd put different pieces together to look like wrestlers. So I was always involved, trying to be involved in wrestling. And then, of course, I used to backyard, and then we found someone that was doing training. I always wanted to train, but I couldn't afford it at the time, or I was working a full-time job, so I couldn't go train. And then I found a place in Flint, Michigan, which was actually it was Davison, so it was an hour away from me. This guy by the name of Xavier Justice, and I knew Monty Brown at the time. And I asked Monty, I said, "Hey, is this guy legit?" And he's like, "Yeah, he'll be able to tell you the basics, teach you your basics. He's really good. Go check him out and learn, and then you have to go further and venture out." And that's what I did. So I learned from him. I got cleared, started wrestling. Then I went down to the House of Truth. I would clean up my technique there and learn more things. just started going to seminars, just started traveling more, getting advice from my peers. Years later, I went to the Border City School, the Can-Am Dojo, Scott Demore's place. This was before he was with Impact, and I started to learn under the tutelage of Johnny Devine, Johnny Bravo, Phil Atlas, of course, Scott Demore himself. So myself and like Jake Something, Idris Abraham, Joel Coleman, those were all Michigan guys, and we started traveling up there just to, I guess you could say, evolve our game a little bit, which helped. And then getting to know Scott, Scott went back to Impact, and he's like, "Yeah, I have an opportunity for you. We need somebody, and I know you know Idris, so we're going to see how you guys team up together." So I had a shot there. I wrestled a few matches, and I did real well. I wrestled Garza Jr. It was a tag match. It was us versus Garza Jr. and Laredo Kid, and Jarrett was in charge at the time. So he liked me, but nothing ever came of it. And then they had the Impact gut check, where it was called, at the time, it was the Global Forge thing, because Global Force or whatever it was, they were a thing before they separated. And I ended up winning that. And then I still wasn't signed. I had tapings in Ottawa, and I remember I did really well. And then I got a call in December, and Scott Demore was like, "Hey, we all thought you did really well. We want to offer you a contract next time I see you," and the rest is history. So that's pretty much how it started. And now, we're here now, and this is where it's going.
That's awesome. So I remember I was reading about like your background. I kind of wanted to get more familiar with your work, because I'm going to be honest with you, before this podcast, not too much of watching Impact Wrestling. So I've been catching up, see what I've missed, tons. So I know prior to your signing at Impact in 2017, you did you put in that work in the indie circuit for about 10 years, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How was that experience for you? Do you have any crazy stories that you want to share with us? You said you kind of worked your way to getting to train with Scott and getting that contract, but how was that experience for you working the indies?
It was rough. It was bittersweet. At the time when I started, I was still doing mixed martial arts as well. So I was really trying to see what was going to take off. And the mixed martial arts was harder because I could only go one day a week. So where I was good at what I did, everybody else was improving. They were like college kids or high school kids, and I was working. So it was just like I couldn't get there enough. And I would work on stuff at home, but trying to spar with people, you need to spar with people, grapple with people. And I had a couple of cage fights. I was 1-on-1. It was fun, but it wasn't going to go anywhere. Wrestling started to go somewhere. I was really cutting my teeth. And I think it was like 4 or 5 years in, I went to a Ring of Honor seminar, and I was like, well, I'll see how I am. Ring of Honor is like one of the top places right now, so we'll see. And I remember I cut a promo in front of Kevin Kelly, and he used my promo as an example to everybody, and I was like, that's big. And then I wrestled, and Delirious was in charge at the time, and he loved my intensity. I had really good character work, and I remember asking him at the end of the seminar, I was like, hey, I know you told everybody, you gave everybody kind of like a massive feedback. What personal feedback can you give me? And he gave it to me. And so the next time I went to the seminar, I got a match. I got booked. And then I kept getting booked with Ring of Honor here and there. My name got thrown around the top prospect tournament. Nothing ever happened. And then I was like, man, I don't, maybe nothing will happen, because Impact wasn't in the cards at the time. And I was just hustling, trying to find my spot in the indies, trying to make a name for myself. And I was always kind of low key. There was nothing really popping off. And then kind of when I went to Impact, it gave me a boost a little bit, but I wasn't a main player. I was still like lower level guy. So no one really cared about Rohit Raju. It wasn't until I did my stuff, my Hakeem Zayn stuff with AAW, when I was doing like the hustle and the muscle, and I was cutting these promos, and Carm and I were running in and beating people up. That's when people started to take notice, even though that was probably like 10 years in. So it's been a grind. It's been a hustle. But it's starting to pay off, and I won't lie, it feels tremendous. I love it. Absolutely love. My 2020 as far as professional wrestling was really, really good.
Huge year for you, and I'm so happy for you, because 10 years putting the work in, and then finally, like, you're what's it called, the fruit of your labor finally.
Yeah.
Oh, so exciting.
Yeah, no, that's really, and like Sandy said, we're both longtime wrestling fans, and we were, somewhat, I wouldn't say ignorant, but we didn't watch Impact on a regular basis until, our good friend Jeremy Donovan kind of heads up our podcast network, has a show on the network, and I was talking to him about putting more content on. He's like, well, we don't have someone covering, this promotion or that promotion, and we don't have someone covering Impact. So I was like, oh, well, I'll do it. And then I was like, I'm gonna give Sandy, a text and see what's going on here. And from day one, like we could tell that you were a performer that really just loves professional wrestling, and it just jumps off the screen at you. And we noticed like there's some people over the years that you can kind of tell when they're not in it, they're kind of mailing it in. And since we've been watching since about Slammiversary and covering and doing the podcast, I've never seen that from you where it's anything but 110%. So my question is kind of, how do you, every time the lights turn on, every time the red light comes on the camera, where do you draw that from, regardless of the day you're having, to just come out and really just, especially in an empty room right now, given the 2020 pandemic, how do
Oh
you
yeah.
how do you dig deep and still go out there and put on these excellent performances?
Passion, and like you said, it's love for it. I've just always loved professional wrestling ever since I first saw it as a kid. Uh, and you get to be something and someone different for like 10, 15 minutes. And for that 10, 15 minutes, all eyes are on you. And it's up to you to create this world, create this scenario, create this character that people are invested in. And it comes so easy for me and naturally because I love what I'm doing. There was a point in time in Impact where I was like, they're never going to do anything with me. And I was getting so frustrated. And then out of the blue, they opened up the gate, and I was like, is it good for me to run out of the gate? And then boom, I ran out of the gate, and it felt great. It was just like, finally, this feels so awesome. And I just always want to improve. I almost have like this chip on my shoulder where I always have something to prove. And because I felt like I've been overlooked for a long time. And I do appreciate what you said. Like, you look like you always give 110%. And I do. And I feel like I do. And if I don't, I'm very upset with myself. Or if something happens that I don't like in the match, it literally will bother me until I wrestle again, because I'm very passionate about professional wrestling and what I do, whether it's the promo, whether it's a certain look I give when I'm out in the ring. Honestly, I don't know where the inspiration comes from. It's just this drive of being successful at what I do. And even when I'm like lifting weights or in the gym, I'm always trying to improve myself. I'm always trying to look better and be better and perform better. That translates into professional wrestling. It's just something I'm very passionate about, something I love. And so my focus is there. And it's almost like second nature for me to shift gears and give it my all. I guess that's the best way to explain it.
Hell yeah, I think that pretty much nails it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And hey, yeah, I wanted to ask you, Sonia, you were talking a little bit about your character work. You have your persona, it's very old school type heel without being the stereotypical Indian, he's a bad guy just because he's foreign, right? I'm foreign
Yep.
too, and I want to be like Ricky Steamboat babyface for the rest of my life. Yes. So I admire that so much about you too, because it's not just like, oh, just because I'm Indian, I'm a bad guy. Like, no, you're able to kind of take in that old school character work for the heel work and your promos, and it goes a lot into what you do in the ring as well. Do you have, I know you mentioned your passion being your driving force to do this, but what kind of who do you look up to from when you were growing up? Like any kind of like heel character that you loved and you're like, man, that's the type of heel that I want to be like?
Macho Man Randy Savage is by far my favorite professional wrestler. To me, all the boxes get checked with him. He can perform in the ring. He can tell a story. He can talk on the mic. He acts larger than life. His charisma is just over the top. He can cut the promo, and he looks like $1,000,000. To me, that's what I want to be like. Professional wrestling nowadays, it's hit this where, like, I always see a lot of people say, well, he's not an X Division guy because I don't do flips and I don't do this and I don't do that. Well, to be honest, I don't want to do that. We'll leave that for TJ. We'll leave that for Chris Bay. We'll leave that for everybody else that's in the X division. I want to be the guy while you guys are trying to do the tower spot, the triple power bomb or something like that. I want to be the guy that ruins it, or I want to be the guy that picks his spots. I want to get under your skin. And to me, you remember moments, especially now with social media. You'll see like a GIF of someone doing something really cool, but then a week later you'll see something even better, and it's like you almost forget what happened. It's still maybe there. You're like, oh yeah, I remember that, but like it doesn't come to your mind. I'll never forget a Ric Flair promo when he was, when he came back from getting fired. I'll never forget Steve Austin coming out with the beer truck. I'll never forget Austin 316. I'll never forget If You Smell. I'll never forget those, you know what I mean? The Hogan
Right.
cup in the ear, or Macho waving the fingers. These are things I'll never forget because they're moments and they're created. I love having great matches. Absolutely. I love going in there and being able to tell a story in the ring and be able to, whether it's catch as catch can or have really cool spots or sequences. I love that. I absolutely love it. What I love more is on Tuesday night, if I have a promo or a match, the fans cuss me out and they can't stand me, because that's the response that I am going for. And you'll remember that. You'll remember the ugly shirt that I wore, you know what I mean? Or you'll remember how I reacted when I was told that I wasn't going to get a shot or get a shot. You'll remember that. That's what I want. And Macho Man to me was the one that fired on all cylinders. And I'm a very big fan of like guys like that, him, Austin, Rock, Cena, Flair, Dusty. Those are guys I'm big fans of, because 30 years from now, we're still going to be talking about them. Whereas we probably won't be talking about some of the cool matches that we've seen. We're going to be talking about the moments that we remember, and that's what I try to create, are moments. So, my style of wrestling isn't everybody's cup of tea. Well, who cares? I don't care. Your cup of tea sucks. You know what I mean? Or Rohit would say that, but that's just your cup of tea, and wrestling's subjective. I do feel like a lot of fans nowadays are very elitist. Oh, we don't like Impact because it's Impact, even though you've never watched it, or you try to insult it because everybody else jumps on the bandwagon of insulting it. That comes with society today, with like social media and stuff like that. If it wasn't for wrestling, I wouldn't even have social media. Just when I watch people complain about stuff, whether it's politics or movies or some form of entertainment, it's always like an elitist group. And if you don't agree with this, you're wrong. Or if you say this, you're canceled, or this, that, and the other. And it's almost to the point to where it's too much. Just step back and enjoy what this person brings to the table. What they bring to the table, they do it well. There's always someone that's going to be something different, and that's what you want. I don't want every person to be the same. I don't want someone to be able to do what I can do. So therefore, my promos, my in-ring persona, I want to be able to do that better than anybody else, and that's how I stand out. And I'm hoping I give you moments to remember, like me double stomping Jordan Grace but screaming equality before I do it. That's a moment. That's what I want you to remember. So, you know what I mean? Even if you loved it or hate it, that's what I want you to remember. And I want you to almost like, is this guy really that big of a jerk in real life? I want you to kind of wonder that, And if you ever talk to me, that's not true. Let's not put that out there. But yeah.
Hey, listen, we don't get that
want
many downloads, so your secret is probably safe with us.
Oh, get out of here.
You gotta change that.
For sure. But just a quick follow-up off of that, Rohit. You mentioned Jordan Grace, and I've often wondered this, and I've told this to Sandy. I don't think that I would want to be at the other end of a dark alley with Jordan Grace at the other end. I'm pretty intimidated by her.
She could probably whoop you. She's tough. She's strong as an ox. So yeah, I was hoping sooner or later that we'll circle back around and have a thing, because I think there could be a great story to be told there and money to be made. So hopefully that'll happen sooner or later, because she has a huge fan base, and I would just honestly love to crap all over them. So that'd be really fun.
I love that. I love that you had to end that with that part there.
Of course.
Now, hey, no, you mentioned, people being elitist and, saying, oh, who's going to watch Impact? But now, we see a lot of that fan base saying, hey, well, let's give it a second chance because of this AEW situation they have going on. I want to get your thoughts on it. So, and then what do you expect to come out of this? Because right now it's a huge time in wrestling where the fans are like, we didn't know this was possible for two big companies to work together. Now you guys kind of have a rivalry, and it's hooking people in. Like the numbers on Twitch whenever Impact goes on Tuesdays, huge compared to what they were a few months ago, you know. And it's such an exciting time, especially for Impact. We're really excited about it. But what are your thoughts on it? What do you see happening coming out of this in the future?
I thought it was one of the coolest things in professional wrestling. As a kid, you always wanted to see a crossover. So when Kenny shows up on our program, and next thing you know, we're having a 6-man tag for our main event, and you have their world champion versus our world champion, and boy, do they put on a show. It's fantastic. And I hope it brought more people in. And I'll see a few times people will say, you know, I came to watch the AEW crossover, but I stayed for so-and-so. That's really cool. I think there's talent in professional wrestling no matter where you look. There's always going to be someone that's really good that you're probably going to like. So it doesn't matter if it's on Impact, doesn't matter if it's on Ring of Honor, WWE, AEW, doesn't matter where it is. There's going to be someone that you're going to like there. And by blocking that off, you're not giving yourself a chance. You're just hurting yourself. So I hope people got to see our wrestlers, because I really believe in our roster, and I hope they took away something good from that. And I hope they were like, man, these people are really good. We should probably be tuning in more. Also, someone asked me, you know, they kind of asked me a similar question. I hope it leads to bigger things with AEW. I would love to get in the ring with like Sonny Kiss, Darby Allin. I would love to get dropped by Sting. That's like, you know, just be able to work with Sting. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I think that would be really cool. One of the cool things was, and I think it was such a class act move, he's one of the top guys in professional wrestling, but Kenny Omega made sure he walked around that locker room and he shook everyone's hand and introduced himself, which I thought was so cool. Because you'll see some guys, they'll come in and they won't talk to anybody and they act like they're better than everybody else. Even some guys that are below you, like indie guys, they'll come in and won't even shake everybody's hand. It's just like, man, where's the respect at? Or maybe they just weren't taught that. I don't know. But I just think if I'm going into someone's home, I'm going to say hi to them. So I thought that was really cool that he did that. And as soon as he shook my hand, all I wanted to do was talk to him about video games. So we sat there for about a good 10, 15 minutes and just were shooting it. Well, I won't say, I was about to say it right there, but I won't say it.
All right, no.
Okay.
Hey, listen, we say whatever the fuck we want on this podcast, all right?
Well, there it is. All right, cool. We were shooting the shit about video games, and I just thought that was really cool. And, you know, picking his brain. We talked about Warzone. We talked about Ghost of Tsushima. We talked about old school Tenchu and Bloodborne and Sekiro and stuff like that. And it was just cool picking his brain, because I always knew he was a gamer. And I used to watch him when he was in Ring of Honor, of course, New Japan and DDT. So I thought it was cool to see him blow up, but I always knew he was a gamer. So if I ever met him, I said, well, I'm going to talk to him about video games. And we did. And he was really cool. And I thought that, to me, that I always respected his work. I always thought he was a fantastic professional wrestler. And he just came across as a fantastic human being as well. And that is, to me, that's just like, that's huge. Really huge. I thought it was awesome.
That makes me so happy to hear, because, yeah, you hear horror stories. You know, you never want to hear that from one of your favorite guys. Like, oh, he's actually a shithead who thinks he's too good to say hello to people or, you know, show some simple respect.
Yeah, there's a guy named.
There's been some.
Go ahead, Reed.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just
gonna. What else going to say? Slammiversary. I'm sorry. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Go ahead.
Slammiversary. I remember they told me, they're like, you know, you're going to do this segment with Heath. And I was like, oh, man, you know, he's coming from WWE. He's going to be probably like, oh, I don't want to do anything. He was so cool and thanked me the whole weekend about that. I thought it was so awesome. And he was like, well, what do you want to do out there? He asked me my opinion. He was down to do whatever I wanted. He tweaked a few things. And then when we got backstage, we talked, and it was funny because he was like, I was in your position before. New guy comes in. You're the guy that has to put him over. He goes, just keep hustling. Something will change. And the next thing you knew, I was X Division champion. But to me, that was so cool because he was so respectful, and he realized the situation that I was in, and he was down for whatever. And that, again, that puts him up here, in my opinion, because he didn't have to do that. Guys like him, Rhino, that are just so giving when it comes to professional wrestling. It's awesome. It's awesome to be, because these guys they've been there. They've made the big money and stuff like that. So that's what you're trying to do. And the fact that they're so giving to you, knowing that you've been in their, that they've been in your spot, that's a huge deal. Because I've met some real assholes. It's like, man, you are nothing, and you're a jerk, and you really don't have a reason to be a jerk, but you're being one. So it's like, but guys like that wash the taste right out of your mouth, like the bad taste right out of your mouth. So it's really cool. They're great individuals in professional wrestling still.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, no, that is. No, yeah, and on that point, I just wanted to follow up with you real quick on that one, because we have an ongoing joke about this on our podcast, because at one point I received a direct message from Tommy Dreamer on Twitter, and it's kind of been a talking point ever since. Anytime Tommy comes up on the show, I say, he did send me a direct message on Twitter once. That's kind of my gimmick for one of the things that I do. Right, we're best friends. My last name is McLaughlin, his is Laughlin. I mean, there's some similarities. We're both kind of pudgy. But so you bring up the veterans, like guys like Heath and Rhino. It seems like there's a really good mixture right now in Impact, where you guys have some, the younger, fresher faces like yourself, your Chris Bays, that kind of guys on the roster. And then you also have guys that have been around forever, like the Tommies, the Rhinos, the Heath. Eric Young's been there forever, with a mini vacation in the middle. Eddie Edwards has been there forever. So can you just speak to kind of that mixture of old and new kind of coming together, making this whole thing work?
I think that's the best formula for professional wrestling right now, is old and new put together. When you have people that know how to do, I guess you could say, the high spots in the more current style of wrestling, but then you have the people that know when to do it. That's what makes, to me, that's the formula. And once you mix that, I think TJP is a guy that does. I've learned so much working with him, and my confidence level has gone through the roof being able to work with him. First match I had with him, I was really sick. We were in Oklahoma. And I remember I just had a really weird vibe from him, but the match was good. I watched it. I was like, it was a good match. And then I remember working with him again, and it was easier. And next thing I know, I remember I went to my hotel room and I thought about what he told me. And the next day I came back ready to call the new match. And he was like, I like that. I like that idea. So ever since then, he takes like it's not him dictating everything. It's us working together. And he knows how to do all the cool stuff, but when to do it, and he knows also what kind of story to tell. So to me, that's how professional wrestling should be nowadays. You're creating your moments, like me taking off his mask at Hard to Kill, but then you have the frantic, fast-paced action that we continued in that match. So to me, those are moments, and he knows when to do it, but he also knows when to turn it up a notch. And Eddie Edwards is the same way. Rich Swann is the same way. They know how to create these moments, but also have a killer match. So to me, that is what professional wrestling should strive to be. That's just my opinion. But I think when you're mixing the best of both worlds, you have a way better product. And when you'd watch like the best of matches with Elgin and Eddie Edwards, they were amazing. They were telling a story. They told it different every time, but they were just going balls to the wall, and they were just working so hard. But it was like professional wrestling to a T. They were giving you all the cool stuff that you want to see, but they were telling such a great story. And to me, that's it. That's the apex right now. And if you can recreate that, or if you can create that, that is you're 10 steps ahead of the game, at least in my opinion. So those guys that you mentioned know how to mix the best of both worlds.
That's awesome. I think for watching Impact, I think you've mentioned this a couple of times too. There seems to be this new energy in that locker room from these guys that are showing respect to you, like the newer people coming in and building this company. There seems to be some kind of energy in there. It's hard for me to say if that's true or not, because I'm just watching from my TV. But how is that? how is that locker room for you? That feeling back there. Where do you see Impact in 5 years?
Hopefully we'll be one of the top promotions again. I think we are now, but just we don't have the eyes on us. I think the product that we put out is excellent, but a lot of people just don't want to give us credit. The locker room, you have your vets, that they know how to get the job done, but then you have those hungry guys. We're all hungry, and we want to go out there and put on the best match. So I know myself, Chris Bay, and TJ at Hard to Kill, we knew all eyes were going to be on Kenny. In that match, we wanted to steal the show, and I felt like we did. Now, granted, that main event was wild. I still think our match was better, not taking anything away from those guys, because those guys are absolutely outstanding, all 6 of them. You know what I mean? Moose went out there and was just insane. Insane. I was just like, wow. And I remember telling him, man, that match was great. And then he was like, yeah, we watched your guys' match. We thought you guys were great. So it's like, man, the main event telling us that we're great, that we put on this match. And I remember seeing all the reviews afterwards, and I just felt like the story was there. It began with us 3, and then it ended with us 3. And it just felt right. So we were hungry. And that's how the rest of the locker room is. I can guarantee you Josh Alexander's hungry. No matter how beat up he is, he's going out there and he's trying to put on the best match that he can. Jake, same thing. He's going to do the same thing. I'm going to do it. Rich Swann is going to do it. Chris Bay, you better believe he's going to do it. TJ is going to do it. We're all hungry. And not only do we want to make ourselves stand out, but we want to make the company stand out. And we're doing it, as one unit. So I think if we keep that energy, people they won't be able to turn away from us within 5 years. We're going to be up at the top. And so we should be. I think the product we're putting out now speaks volumes. If people would just take the blinders off and give us a shot, they would realize that we're putting in some good work.
I absolutely agree. And you know what? That's funny that you bring up those names. Josh Alexander, Jake, he goes by Jake something, right? Or cousin Jake. And those 2 guys, I've been putting them over on the podcast too. The intensity that they bring. Josh Alexander now without Ethan Page, to me, he is going to be a breakout star as well in 2021. It's insane. Same with Jake, having Cody Deaner, that feud that they have going on, him being as a singles guy now, it's going to do tremendous for their career. And I cannot wait to see what they have in store for them.
Yeah, and they're phenomenal athletes. I don't know if you guys ever seen Jake on the Indies, but he's probably, in my eyes, he's one of the best wrestlers today, especially one of the best big men. I can't wait for Impact to let him off the chain and just let him go. He will literally turn heads. He can turn heads physically, obviously, and visually. So, but he'll be great. So I honestly can't wait to see where he goes. I hope 2021 is his breakout year. Underneath me, of course. But yes, I hope he has a great year.
Now, Josh, I think this is a good time to switch it over to video games.
Yeah,
unless
absolutely.
you have anything else you wanted to ask, Rohit.
No, I mean, I'm hoping, Rohit, that you'll come on again and we can get more into wrestling stuff. Hopefully this is the first conversation of many. But we definitely, you mentioned talking games with Kenny. I know TJ is a big gamer. He does some Twitch stuff. And obviously his previous entrance themes incorporated 8-bit music and stuff like our intro does as well. Yeah, let's switch gears a little bit here and talk video games. What's the first game you remember like playing? What did you fall in love with? Are you a Nintendo guy, a Sony guy? Let's get into nitty gritty a little bit here.
Whoa. I think that was the first question that we started when we started the podcast. It was like, what was the first memory of a video game? I want to hear yours.
I'm dating myself here because I had the original Nintendo, and in school we had these horrible computers at the time before we got better ones, and it had like Face Maker on it. It was some green screen. It was terrible. But back then it was fantastic, and you played the mess out of it. But original Nintendo, I was more of a Sega Genesis guy because it had blood on Mortal Kombat. Super Nintendo did not.
Sure.
And I loved Sonic the Hedgehog. The first game that honestly blew my mind was Final Fantasy VII. It was Tekken 2 and Final Fantasy VII. I just remember for the PlayStation when Tekken 2, the intro was so amazing to me at the time. And then when Final Fantasy VII came out, the graphics at the time, there was nothing touching it. And then the soundtrack, and then I was so broke. We were so broke. My mom had all she could get me was the PlayStation and Final Fantasy VII, and I couldn't get a memory card at the time. Obviously, you need a memory card for that game. I played that game so many times without a memory card just because I loved it that much until I
Oh,
finally got one. And then, I'd leave it on. I'd go to school and I'd leave it on and I'd come back and I'd pick up where I left off and try to. Then I'd be worried that I was going to overheat it, so I'd shut it off. And I'm like, I got to do it again. That's okay. I know where everything is. I'm having a good time. I'll just level up more. And then that was one of my top ones. And then it bleeds into, man, what did I like for PlayStation 2? I'm drawing a blank, but there was a lot of great games for PlayStation 2. I loved Halo. I loved Halo 2. Gears of War. Love the Gears games. Man, PS2, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on what I liked for that. Katamari Damacy was probably one of my favorite games for PS2. I actually downloaded it on the Switch. Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, hands down, great games. Ghost of Tsushima, which I played recently, Witcher 3, Skyrim. I played so many freaking versions of Skyrim that it's insane. The weird thing is, as much as I love that game, I never beat it because all I did was I would just explore everything.
Right.
So I never beat it.
Yeah.
same.
Metal Gear Solid, the original one, when you had to take the controller out and put it in player 2 to beat Psycho Mantis, blew my freaking mind as a kid. I thought that was awesome. What was it, Soul Calibur 2? The intro to that was amazing. Of course, Mortal Kombat. Loved Mortal Kombat. I was more of an MK guy than Street Fighter. Ew, what else? Man, there's so much. Grand Theft Auto 5 was one of my favorite GTAs. Of course, the GTAs for PlayStation 2 were always great. But, yeah, I don't know. I can go on and on.
Who did you normally play as when you played Mortal Kombat?
Scorpion. It used to be Raiden. When I was growing up, it was always Raiden. I'd hit that backflip, dive across the screen, backflip, electrocution, down, up, you know what I mean? I'd always hit that. And then it was Scorpion. When Mortal Kombat 9 came out, Scorpion was easier to play with, and I was just getting back into a fighting game, and I could do some really good damage with him. And there was somebody else I would use too. I can't remember, but Scorpion was my go-to. And I haven't played the new ones. I've wanted to just because they had all the cool like crossovers like Predator, and then of course like Arnold was in it. I'm a huge Arnold fan, and then Leatherface, Jason, Freddy, the Alien, the Xenomorph, and then they had Rambo in it. Man, that stuff's so cool. RoboCop. I think that stuff's so cool, and I'm waiting on that movie trailer. Apparently, there's a movie trailer that's going to drop, so I'm waiting on that.
Yeah. I completely forgot they were making that movie.
Yeah, and I keep finding fan-made ones, so I'm just like, God dang it.
Those fakes are out there for sure. I want to back you up real quick, Reed.
I did play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 for PlayStation 2. I hated 3. I recently played 3, but Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 for PS2 were great. And 3, I would literally beat that. I was not a fan of that game.
You two have very similar tastes in video games. Like, I am a Nintendo dweeb, and I have like a war against Sony. So like after the PlayStation 2, I stopped buying PlayStation. They always talk smack to Nintendo. They were like, when the Wii came out and the motion controls, Sony was like, nobody's gonna play that. Nobody's whatever. And then they released their motion sensor thing that looked exactly like it. I was like, why are you guys talking all this shit and then copy them? So I'm at a war.
There's a slight difference, Sandy, in how PlayStation was doing theirs, because they had glowing bulbs at the end of their controller. It's a big difference. But no, I do want to back you up, Rohit, real quick, because similar to you, there's actually not a game that I've played and spent more time with than Final Fantasy VII. It's a true story. I've talked about it on this podcast before. Just finding different ways to beat the game, finding new ways to, finding certain ways to level up properly, playing an entire game file just to figure out how to get the golden chocobo so you can get Knights of the Round so that you can, you know what I mean? But so,
What?
yeah, I,
I never played.
that's okay, Sandy. Don't worry about it. I
I
know
know.
she's way behind in JRPGs. It's a struggle for me weekly, Rohit, to talk RPGs with Sandy.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
it's all right. But yeah, so with Final Fantasy VII and yours and I love for Final Fantasy VII. Did you get a chance to play with the remake that came out in 2020?
I did. I thought it was good. I didn't love it, but it's so hard to recreate um, the magic of the original 7. But I thought it was really fun. I even liked 15 when 15 came out. I didn't
Sure.
think I would, but I enjoyed it. But no, 7 I really enjoyed. I like how they brought a lot of Crisis Core into it. I thought that was really cool. And I also like how they added some things to the story. So I thought that was neat too. I'm curious to see where they're going to go with it.
I think that's my most exciting part of it is that we thought we knew how this game was going to go, right? We just thought, oh, we've seen remakes before, we've seen HD remasters, we've seen the whole thing, especially since they'd already done an HD release for PlayStation Network for 7, 8, and 9. So I just figured they're just going to reskin it and then just ship out the same game, same turn-based stuff. But no, I'm with you there. I really liked it a lot, and it leaves me wanting more. I mean, I think when you're going to have a multi-part game,
Yeah,
that's probably what you're shooting for is that people spend $60 more than once.
this is true.
Can't
And
tell you how many
I'm
times I've
curious.
rebought a Nintendo game. Spent hundreds of dollars
Yeah,
on
well,
like
you got
one game.
Mario Kart in every system, and it does get better and better. I won't, act like it won't. It doesn't. The Mario parties are hit or miss sometimes. I really enjoyed what was the Mario for the Switch. You had to do the whole thing with the hats. Was it
Uh,
Odyssey.
Odyssey?
Odyssey,
Yeah,
yeah,
Odyssey was good.
so
Odyssey was
good.
really good. Yeah, the Switch. I thought Nintendo actually, because I did not like. I liked the Wii when it first came out, but then I was like, man, they have a lot of BS games on here, a lot of filler. And then the Wii U, I was just like, nope, nope, can't do that. And I thought the Switch was super amazing. I know. I thought the Wii U. I thought they dropped the ball with that. I didn't think it was a huge upgrade from the Wii, but the Switch they managed to combine the Wii and the DS kind of together, and I was like, "Ooh, this is really cool." And I remember getting my hands on it. I was like, "Man, I kind of want one of these," and I liked it. I fell in love with it.
It's so great. Have you ever played Zelda by any chance? The Zelda
Breath of the
games?
Wild?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played Breath of the Wild. That was really good. I enjoyed and is such an obscure one was Minish Cap for the Game Boy Advance. I
So
really liked
good.
Yeah, Minish Cap was really good. Some other Nintendo games I really enjoyed were, and I played them. Man, I played them on the Game Boy Advance. It was the Castlevania. So Aria of Sorrow was excellent, like the Metroidvania style games.
sure.
I remember playing the one on PlayStation 2, which was excellent, where you become, you find out that you're Dracula at the end, that was awesome. Though the part 2 was not that great. But and then I played the one on the 3DS, but I played the Game Boy Advance one so much. And then they had on the regular DS and 3DS, they had like or no, it was regular DS. It was Portrait of Ruin, Lament of Innocence, and then there was another one. I can't remember. Harmony of Dissonance, maybe? I don't know. But they were great. They were such great games, and I would 100% the map, and I would play the hell out of those games. So yeah, I thought the DS and the 3DS were some of the best creations Nintendo ever brought out. Those were, man, excellent. But Minish
And
Cap was one of
they're
my favorites.
yeah,
It was such an obscure one. But Breath of the Wild was phenomenal.
so good. So we actually just had an episode where we discussed our most what's the word I'm looking for? What we're looking forward to the most in gaming in
Right.
2021 because the
What we're
word
most
slipped my mind.
anticipating, yeah. Wait, the games that we're
Thank you.
anticipating the
English is my
most, yeah.
second language. What games are you looking forward to the most in 2021? And also, do you have the new console, the new PS5, I'm assuming?
I do
Or
not.
yet?
I wanted to wait because there was nothing I really wanted to play on it. The only thing I want to play on it right now is Miles Morales. That's about it. I was waiting. I was going to get freaking Cyberpunk, but it has so many
Oh,
glitches that I want to
so
wait. I
sad.
mean, the game, yeah, it's such a bummer because, like I said, I loved Witcher 3, and
Right.
that, oh man, open world game, I'm gonna get lost in this. And then I saw all the issues with it. I was like, hard pass. And then I wanted to wait to get Spider-Man, but I might just pick that up or the new Call of Duty so I can play with Jake. But I don't know. Open world games are my bread and butter, so I might just do Spider-Man and wait. I know I want to get a new Xbox because I want to play the new Halo, obviously. But the PlayStation 5 is what I want next. I honestly don't know what I'm excited for because it's been really, I don't know. I honestly don't know even what's hot that's coming out right now. What's been announced? Is there anything that I'm missing that's like
May,
huge?
Resident Evil 8. If
That's
you like
probably the
No,
horror.
they
biggest
just
one
or the demo. Was the demo just dropped today?
for PS5
Yeah,
only.
yesterday.
Yeah, PS5 only
Hmm.
gets
What was it?
it gets the demo, but they just released more trailers.
Oh, PS5 only gets that's a
Yeah,
bummer.
I think
yeah.
didn't they say they were going to release some demos like later on for other consoles? I can't recall.
Probably. Sony seems to have a pretty good agreement in place with a lot of the Japanese publishers to kind of
Sony.
get the early bird kind of attention. But yeah, I think it's funny because I think you could draw some parallels with the video game industry and the impact of COVID-19. It's similar to kind of how wrestling had to kind of start stop in a lot of ways. It caused massive delays because teams couldn't go in and develop games. They couldn't, so I'm sure you couple that with like the case of Cyberpunk where like I think Cyberpunk was originally supposed to release in like May 2019 was when it was originally announced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then
Like, can you imagine?
October it was like
So like you're talking,
terrible.
it's you take that and then now you have to push the crunch on the developers. And like any artistic thing, I think if you put too much pressure and force too much on these people, you're going to have problems. All right, there's going to be things that are buggy, things that are going to slip. Large open world games always have bugs, anyways. But just the fact that it's that much, it's a shame.
Yeah, it is a shame because I was really looking forward to that. Uh yeah, I'm hoping they fix it soon. And I think, yeah, I'm really wondering if Miles Morales will be my next pickup. And because I saw, like I said, that Kingdom Hearts was on sale, so I was really excited. And man, when I played it, I was so disappointed in that. It was just
Yeah.
not great, not good at all. But Miles, I heard nothing but great things about that. And I love the last Spider-Man game. I thought that was
That game
phenomenal.
was
So
so good, absolutely so good.
it was.
Sandy never
Yeah,
played
and
it
you
because she
literally,
hates PlayStation, but
you are missing out on a lot of
I
stuff. A
know.
lot
If
of stuff.
I won't personally buy it, but if somebody wants to gift it to me, I'll play, I guess. But I won't support it.
Nice.
Yeah.
For all you guys
Oh,
listeners out there.
yeah. Listen,
and I
don't
know
worry.
you mentioned Call of Duty earlier.
Oh yeah,
You
Sandy's
have
a
to.
Call of
I know
Duty
we
player.
talked about it too. You have to get it so we can play. So much fun.
Which one?
Call of Duty, the new Call of Duty Cold War.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right, because it's crossplay. So
So much fun.
maybe that'll be the next one. We'll see.
Yes.
I gotta
Okay.
brush up on my skills. I'm pretty horrible.
I was too, and now I'm killing it. So get ready.
Oh, I'm not. See, when I get cooking, I'm good. When I was playing with Jake, we were playing for like almost every night. I think when COVID started, and then I got really good. I was like, man, I'm getting good at this. And then I just stopped playing. I was playing something else. I can't remember what I jumped on, but yeah, I started playing something different. I think I played Jedi Fallen Order, which was really good.
I haven't played that
And
one.
from there, and then I played Ghost of Tsushima as well. But yeah, from there, I tried to get back on. I was like, man, I suck. So I'd have to warm up in Cold War.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
But it's
like
doable. It's definitely doable.
Nice.
as far as like online gaming goes, for me it's a hit or miss thing because I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old and a wife, and I don't have time to get really good in the online space. Like I think probably like 10 years ago I gave up fighting games altogether because I'm just getting my ass kicked left and right by 12-year-olds on the internet. But
I feel you,
what
man.
I can imagine, pre-pandemic, you were doing a lot more traveling, and that probably became harder to get good at games. Has your gaming increased this past year? Is you're trying, because you guys are doing tapings and then you kind of go back and forth that way. Is that kind of led to more of that, or have you picked up any other hobbies in addition to gaming since you've kind of been doing this little bit of a different schedule?
No, I've always been a video game and player. I've always loved video games since I was a kid. I used to work in the video game retail for like 14 years before I got signed to Impact. So I was management there, and so it was cool because we'd go like we'd have like what did they call them? Man, I
Kind of
can't
like
remember. But we'd go.
E3 and stuff
It was
like
like
that, the game conferences.
that's what it was just for the company. And we would go and we'd get to play all the new games and see all the new games before anybody else because they want you to know about it and then so you can tell customers about it and sell it. So we
Sure,
got to
drive
see all that
pre-orders.
stuff. And that
Yeah.
conference, it was conference is what it was. Yeah, exactly. Pre-orders, all that stuff. So we got to learn all about the game. So that was really cool. So I've always been into gaming. And usually I get all my stuff done during the day. And at night, I'll sit down and play a game. And man, if it's a game I'm into, I won't. Man, sometimes I gotta put it down because I won't go to bed till God knows what time. I'm like, oh, it's 5 in the morning. Oh, let me go get this treasure chest. There's this side quest. Let me go do that. Oh, that looks like there's a dragon over there. I should probably go kill it. And oh, what level is it? Oh, I go level up. Then I'll go. And then it's 6 in the morning. So yeah, then it's really bad. But no, I didn't really pick up anything new. Honestly, when I have a half rack, which is a like a for is weightlifting, so it's like squat. You can do squats on it, pull ups. You put a bench in there so you can bench press. So my main goal was okay. Now I don't have a gym, but I do have some time on my hands. My main focus was to get in the best shape I could as soon as when wrestling came back. I was in really good shape, so I felt like I was always in good shape, but I got into really good shape when COVID kicked in. And I've honestly I hit the gym every single day, eat a lot cleaner than what I used to. And I've always loved it. Like when I saw wrestlers or Bruce Lee or Arnold or, any action hero, they're always in such great shape. And I remember seeing that and be like, man, I want to look like that. How do I look like that? So I was always enamored with like bodybuilding and fitness. And so now when I actually had more time, I could put more dedication to it. So that I wouldn't say I picked up a new hobby. Always a gamer, always into lifting. I did just put more into both. So, and I just kind of went with what I knew and got better at it.
Hell yeah. And you look shredded, by the way. So all that work paid off completely.
I am definitely trying. I'm trying. I'm trying to keep up with everybody and look better than anybody else that steps in the ring. So, and that's just one of my loves. I love it. I absolutely love trying to stay in shape and look the part and look even better than anybody else that I'm working with. So that's a huge inspiration of mine. So I appreciate that.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. So, just I think I have like a couple kind of rapid fire questions as we kind of get towards the back end of this. And feel free to answer. Feel free to just kind of abstain from answering. These are not anything serious. They're just kind of playful, kind of kind of who's this kind of question. Well, okay, we'll start there, I guess. Favorite vegetable to eat.
What was it? I missed the first one.
Oh, sorry. No, sorry. We're a little muddled sometimes. Like I said, we are not the Rohit Raju podcast over here. So, what is your if Rohit's sitting down to take a snack on a veggie, what's your favorite vegetable to sit down with?
Ooh. That's tough. I would say I like baby carrots.
Sure.
I like broccoli if I'm eating it with like a steak. There were times that I wanted to just get a green, like veggies in my body. So I would take a cup of spinach and I would just eat the leaves, which is kind of gross. But I would, yeah, exactly.
Oh.
But he was like, well, I need a good chunk of greens today, so I would. Okay, well, I'd put a cup in, I'd eat that, and then later on in the day, I'd put another cup in, and I would eat that. When we would travel, sometimes I'd have a bag of spinach, and I would just eat it, and just to get the greens in me. Celery's not bad either, but probably I'd say, oh, one of my favorite things is in the summertime is grilled asparagus
Sure.
with
Oh,
yeah, yep. But I do like broccoli with my steak though too, if it's cooked right. I don't like it when it's really mushy. I like it more when it's cooked and still crunchy.
same.
I hear you on
Any
that. Yeah, I hear you.
vegetable.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was raised on broccoli with nacho cheese over the top of it, and so that's why I look a little bit like Tommy and
Oh.
not like you, Rohit. So,
Hey, that's, I
um,
mean, it's still a vegetable. At least you're getting it in your system.
right, I'm still getting my vitamins in. I've since ditched the cheese. I don't melt the nacho cheese. And, my mom took the approach of, hey, whatever works, and it may have just been also because she boiled it and made it really mushy, so it tasted like ass, anyways.
Oh.
But enough enough about that because now I'm starting to have some PTSD flashbacks to my mother's cooking. Um, but next thing, what is your all-time favorite wrestler's intro music?
Oh man, that's tough.
Ooh.
Jeez. I would say, when you hit the glass, that was your ass. I love Stone Cold's music. I think Hollywood Rock was one of my favorites. That slow, and it would go, "It's cooking," and then
Yeah,
Rock would come out in like the vest and the shades. Whoa, baby! The Rock. I just love that stuff. I would probably, man, I don't know. Could have been "I'm a Real American" by Hogan. Anything the Road Warriors came out to. Um, Ric Flair's theme
sure.
for the
Classics.
longest time. Styles TNA theme. I loved that for the longest time. I thought Shinsuke's music was really sweet. But I don't know. I couldn't choose just one. There's too many. There's
It's
way
tough.
too many.
It is tough. For me,
Sure,
and
I'm curious.
it's Team Extreme. But it brings me right back to childhood. And then you just see Matt and Jeff come out. Um, but yeah, all the ones you mentioned are great. Sandy, I don't know if I've ever asked you that question. Do you have one that you can just rattle off?
Dude, Adam Cole's theme song in the Indies is so good. And there's like an hour loop of it on YouTube, and I literally would just listen to it for an hour. It's the same thing for an hour. It's so freaking good. But yeah, Stone Cold was my favorite growing up. So of course, like that to me, whenever I
Yeah,
hear that, I'm just like, yeah.
yeah, like you're
Throwing clotheslines and Fez presses like, that's right. You Millie Mouse, some bitch, take this. I just love, man, Stone Cold, boy. Anytime
Fez.
you heard the glass and the roar of the crowd, you were like, oh, in the words of JR, business is about to pick up. You knew shit was about to down, so it was awesome. Especially if
yeah,
the
It's
Rock was
amazing.
on the outside of that ring, it was
Oh,
go time. Yeah,
absolutely.
that's probably my favorite feud right there.
yes.
Okay, so that takes away that question. No, I'm kidding. That wasn't one of my questions. Um, if you could, if you could wrestle anyone, past or present, who would it be that you haven't already wrestled?
Probably me, yeah. I was thinking
This
about
guy.
Macho Dennis. Yeah, I was thinking about him all the time. Yeah.
Ah,
But
yep.
Macho Man's great.
in
Great choice.
Austin, The Rock, or Cena, I think would be, or even AJ Styles. I think those guys would be some guys I would love to get in the ring with. I would love to go back and forth with The Rock on the mic and Austin and just tell a story with those guys. I think Savage would be a battle of like intensity, which would be really cool. And then like AJ Styles it would be awesome. And like Cena, all the guys would be such learning experiences. But I would take your pick out of that group of professional wrestlers. I think they're just some of the best that ever laced them up. So yeah, I would love to step in the ring with those guys.
That's great. And yeah, I mean, Sandy, is she's wrestling tomorrow here locally. So if you ever wanted to, make a run in and challenge and lay down the feud, I'm sure Sandy would definitely accept.
So drop your weight. just wham, drop you. You'd be done. You guys have you guys are in Florida, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're in the Tampa Bay area. We're kind of in that hotbed of wrestling, so to speak, from the olden days. And if you're from here and you're a wrestling fan, you definitely have a Terry story. You have a Randy story. Actually used to sell printer paper to Macho Man Randy Savage at an office supplies area. So, which
My
he was a
dude,
real
that
treat every time. Every time he would try to beat me up for a discount on a $5 ream of paper. So, got you can't knock the man for trying,
Amazing.
you know.
you're gonna charge me this, huh? Man, you have to let me know the name of the promotion because wrestling right now, especially up here, is very scarce. I find like there's nothing happening in Michigan. There's nothing happening in our old stomping grounds. So I finally got a chance to go down to Kentucky where they had a small crowd, which was really fun. And I know my tag partner Karam, he's been down back and forth to Florida. So yeah, if you could put me in contact, so I'll hit up that
Oh
person. Like,
gosh.
hey,
Hell
let's
yeah.
make something happen. I'm just trying to work. We're actually going to Jersey next weekend, so we're literally kind of hitting up places that are not they're usually pretty far away for us, but if we can find a spot where we can go, and I know like he was saying Florida, and I was telling him, dude, let me get some promotions that I've done in Florida. So please, if you could send that my way because I would love to hit them up and try to get down that way.
Yeah, we
Absolutely. I mean,
definitely will.
it's insane here. So tomorrow there are 5 shows that I know of within like a 20-mile radius of here, which is not 20, maybe like 50 miles, but it's insane. Definitely got to make your way down. And we love to have you. So I actually have trained with Jay Lethal at the Lethal Academy, and
I
he
yeah,
for
I did. It's awesome.
yeah, he's amazing. He actually had Moose come and train with us one time, which was fantastic. And Gail Kim, of course, that's how I met her. My very first promo I ever did was actually in front of her being recorded, so that was terrifying. But she's a sweetheart. But yeah, we definitely got to have you. We love to have you around. I'll definitely give you some promotions. We'd love to see you down here.
Yeah, I would love that. I know, like I said, Karam's down there now. He's going down. I think he's going to Eddie Kingston's promotion pretty soon as well. So I was like, dude, let's go down there and do the hustle and the muscle. And we're just trying to work. Like I said, it's so dry where we are right now because of all the restrictions. So we're definitely trying to get back in the swing of things. I know there's stuff happening in Florida. So definitely trying to come down there and put in some work. So
Hell yeah.
I approve.
That's awesome. And I just have one more for you, Rohit, and then we'll let you get out of here because I know we've got you for about an hour or so right now. But
So
when Rohit Raju leaves the boots in the center of the ring, he wants his legacy to be what?
one of the most entertaining wrestlers that people will ever remember. Complete package, promo, the way he looked, the way he worked, the way he carried himself, larger than life. And I hope people remember that. And I hope people remember me a sliver of the way they remember all the greats that I mentioned, earlier on this podcast. Just a sliver of that. If I could get that, that would be amazing. And I hope I can carve out a legacy in professional wrestling that people actually do remember and still talk about and give people moments that they do remember and still talk about. That's the main goal, and to never be forgotten. So, I want to be just like the people that I think about. And that's the path that I try, and that's my way of professional wrestling that I try to create and establish. So hopefully it gets over enough to where it is remembered and it solidifies me as one of the best.
That's
I
awesome.
think
Great
that's
answer. Yeah.
hell yeah.
And I think Sandy would
You're
agree.
already that in
Yeah.
my
Well,
eyes.
present company notwithstanding, I think that you're definitely on your way to that, Rohit. Thank you again, truly, truly, for being a part of this, for taking the time to sit down with us. Go ahead and throw out all your plugs. Make sure if there's anybody that listens to this that doesn't know where to find you, they can go and find you.
Well, sweet. You can find me at Hakeem Zain. That is my Twitter. Raju Zain 80. If you look up the Mad Dragon or Hakeem Zain or Rohit Raju on Facebook, you can find me there as well. Of course, I have a YouTube channel, which I don't really do much with, but I've been hearing that I should probably do something with it. So we'll see what I can get cooking. Mostly my Twitter or my Instagram is where I'm at posting, whether it's workout videos, any content that I can get for professional wrestling is what I usually do. And then, of course, Pro Wrestling Tees/Rohit. I just dropped the Mocha Skin Mando, which is me in Mandalorian armor. And instead of Baby Yoda and the baby thing, it is the X Division Championship belt. Actually, it's the Flex Division Championship belt, which is probably one of my favorite shirts of all time. And then I have a Wu-Tang design as well. Almost every wrestler has a Wu-Tang design, but mine is cooler, and it always sells real well. So that's where you can find me. And, of course, Access TV, 8 o'clock. Every Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern on Impact Wrestling, causing a ruckus. I'm going to drop TJP on his big old head in about 2 weeks, non-title match. But you know what? I think I'm going to win that. I'm going to make my statement. Then finally, hopefully, Scott D'Amore, the king of Rohit, will give me a title match, and then we'll just keep this going, and then I will be the future two-time X Division champion.
Hell yeah. My man, Rohit Raju.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to that as well, Rohit. Of course, you can follow us on 8-Bit Suplex Twitter. It's at 8-Bit Suplex. You can follow me at Laughlin_Joshua. You can follow Sandy at Sailor Zelda. You could also buy the 8-Bit Suplex official t-shirt at Pro Wrestling Tees/Social Suplex. Make sure you're checking out all the shows on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Keeping It Strong Style, All Things Elite, One Nation Radio. We got a bunch of shows. I'm drawing a blank. It's late on a Friday night. But definitely go check us out. Rohit, we'll talk to you soon, buddy.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
No
See you later.
Thank you for listening to the 8-Buck Suplex Podcast. See you next time.